Right. Good morning, everyone. So my name's Paul Rutter. I look after the solution architecture team here at Perfect Image. What I want to go through this morning is just a brief introduction to the Microsoft Power Platform. So I've been working with Microsoft products, particularly Dynamics, for about 10 years now. And over that time, we've seen quite a lot of change in the technologies and the platforms that we use. So what I want to do is spend the next 45 minutes just giving you a bit of an overview of how things have changed, and a bit of an introduction to what the Power Platform is and how we can start to use it. So I don't know if anybody saw the Microsoft BizApps launch event a couple of weeks ago, but what I want to do is just start by giving you a bit of insight into what Microsoft have as a vision for the platform, and look at where it's come from and where it's going to. So if we look back to slightly before I was born, back to 1975, only just before I was born, we can really see how the technology has changed in that time. So if we think about the processes we had back in 1975, we'd have people ringing up perhaps into our call centers. We'd have lots of bits of paper landing on people's desks. Essentially what would happen is an operator would open up a computer screen, open up a form, enter that data, and that data will be stored into a database somewhere. So that's all very well, but how has that changed from what we do now? If we look through the years, and those 40 years that have gone past, yes, we might have lost a bit of paper in that process. We might have got faster equipment to enter that information, but ultimately, we're still entering data via forms into a database. We just got forms over this data. So what we're seeing here really is it's very reactive processes. A lot of the systems that we have at the minute, if we think about the customer service scenario for a second, a customer might have an issue with a product or something's maybe stopped working. So they'll ring up our call center, they'll report the issue, and the customer service team will log that issue in the system. Essentially, we've taken some data, opened up a form, and entered that into a database. Okay, great. So now we've got our field service team. We might go and dispatch that field service team out to the customer, and they will go and diagnose the issue, have a look at the problem, and hopefully resolve the customer's problem. Brilliant. Well, that's a very reactive model. What we're starting to see now is a shift from this reactive model into more of a proactive model. So we're at a key point in time now where things are changing. We now generate and store and analyze data at massive scales, and everything's becoming connected now. If you think about what you've got in your house, you've got connected washing machines, connected cars, connected electricity meters. Everything is generating massive and massive amounts of data. And the data that we generate is key to helping us transform the products and services that we can offer our customers. Data to a business is one of its most important assets, and it should be at the heart of everything we do as a business. And it's not just IoT data. There's lots of other data sources that we have within organizations that tell you different things about your customers' products and services. And to be honest, most of that data is usually stored away in a spreadsheet somewhere. Previously, we were limited by the size and the cost of our data centers as to how much data we could store and analyze. But with the advent of cloud computing, we're now starting to see quite a large change and shift in these things. So what we can now start to do is change that old reactive business model and make it more proactive. So this gives us a process similar to what we can now see on the screen. We collect this data from all these different data sources. Maybe it's IoT devices, maybe it's spreadsheets, maybe it's surveys, all these different data sources, and we land that into Azure. Once it's in the Azure platform, we can then start to use artificial intelligence and predictive models to do anomaly detection over that data as it's streaming in. If the predictive model predicts this potential issue with a customer's device, it can proactively schedule the field service engineer to go out and perform preventative maintenance on that device before the customer is even affected by that issue. Now, surely that's a much better customer service experience to go out and fix something before the customer even realizes it's broken. So the only way we can start to do this is by taking advantage of the new cloud scale tools we have at our disposal. Previously, it would have taken months of development, now be achieved relatively quickly in the grand scheme of things. Let's put a pause for a minute and think about the role of artificial intelligence or AI in all of this. So How many people in their businesses have had requests from the business that they would like one AI? Can we build artificial intelligence into this software? It's one of the key buzzwords at the minute. And it's an age-old aspiration, isn't it? To build a machine with a human mind. If you look back as far back as the work Alan Turing was doing, he was looking to try and get a machine to think more like a human. Now, we're probably still a long way off machines that can be as creative as the human brain, although probably not that far away when you see some of the new stuff coming out of the tech community. But as AI is becoming more pervasive, we're using it in our everyday lives and potentially don't even realize it. So when you go onto Amazon, your product recommendations is all driven by predictive models of things you might be interested in. Netflix recommendations, we all sit down, a lot more at the minute, sit down in front of Netflix, and we're presented with things we might be interested in. There's predictive modeling behind all of that. And similarly with our Outlook calendar reminders, it's all very well getting a reminder for an appointment if you're 15 minutes away from that appointment. But what happens if you're 2 hours away from that appointment? You need to drive there to get to the appointment. You want that reminder in a more timely fashion. So that's when we can start to leverage and build AI into all of our pieces of software. So why is AI important? Well, because it's going to help us power the next wave of digital transformation within our businesses. It's going to help us make that shift from reactive business processes into proactive business processes. It also represents a fundamental shift in how we develop applications. As developers, traditionally we work with very clear and defined instructions. If this, do that. If that, do this. But with AI and machine learning, we don't tell the computer how to solve the problem. What we actually do is write generic machine learning models and algorithms that allow the computer to learn. What we do is we provide that model with data and we train it in a specific domain. The more data we have, the more data we give it, the more accurate the training. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I know how to write these models or even know where to start, but luckily, clever people at Microsoft have written a lot of generic models for us, which we can start to use and build into our applications. Maybe if you get a bit of time after this call, if you go on the Microsoft AI website, there are so many different examples and tutorials you can play with to start and see how good these cognitive services really are. And we're going to have a little bit of a look later on as how we can start to build these cognitive services quite easily into our own applications. So to do all of this clever stuff and to change our business processes and become more proactive in the way we work, we need a platform that allows us to be able to do that and bring all of this data together to be accessible by our users anywhere, anytime, and on any device. So we need a modern platform on which to do that. Why are we seeing this modern platform come to the fore, and why are we seeing such a change now? Well, because now we have readily access to on-demand massive computing power, and it's being packaged in a relatively easy format to use. In fact, the chances are, if you're an Office 365 or Microsoft 365 subscriber, you're potentially already paying for some of these services. So let's have a little bit of a look at this platform. The foundation of the platform is data. As I said before, data is key to your business, whether it's big data, little data, structured data, unstructured data, streaming data. This is a very important foundation. So if we look at what we've got here, on the left-hand side there, we've got data connectors. So the platform is underpinned by different data connectors. These allow you to go and pull data in from multiple different data sources. And it's not just Microsoft data sources. We've got Facebook, Twitter, we've got Salesforce, we've got Marketo, MailChimp, Google, all of these different data sources there that you can pull in and use with your apps. Moving on from that, we've got the common data service. The common data service is key to building these structured apps. Common data service gives you a place to store your data and gives your data structure and meaning. It allows you to work in a relational model. Yes, we could go and use SharePoint to land some of our data and store that, perfectly acceptable. But as your apps become more complex, you need that structure and you need that referential integrity without getting too geeky behind all of your data. We've then got the AI Builder. Now, the AI Builder is a relatively new addition to the Power Platform, but something which is really cool, and we're going to have a bit of a look at that later on. Essentially, that's what allows us to take our data and get insight and apply these predictive models over our data. So moving on from that, the next layer up is the Power Platform itself. Now, the Power Platform itself consists of these four building blocks. On the left-hand side, we have Power Apps. So Power Apps is our front-end application builder. That's what lets us build these mobile apps and applications in general for our users to use. The idea is that this can be used by non-programmers. It's a low-code platform. We don't have to go and start writing reams and reams of code. Moving on from that, we've then got Power Automate, which was formerly called Flow. So if I start calling it Flow halfway through this is what I mean. The name's changed very recently. But Power Automate gives us our back-end application logic. It's our workflow builder. And I'll come on to these things, talk in a bit more detail about these things in a couple of minutes. Moving on from that, we've then got Power BI. Power BI is our data visualization. It allows us to build reports off of our data. It allows us to do that analysis on our data. We've then got Power Virtual Agents as well. Power Virtual Agents is a really new feature of the Power Platform and one which is really, really interesting. It's basically chatbot functionality. So you can go and build chatbots into your Power Platform applications now. It's really quite cool, and we'll have a little look at that in a sec as well. So on top of that then, so we've got all this Power Platform stuff. What we've then got building out on top of that is Dynamics 365. So Dynamics 365 gives us our first-party line of business applications. Things like sales, marketing, customer service, field service. All of these applications are built on top of the Power Platform. We've also got Office 365 in there. So where we've got things like Teams and SharePoint, we can go and we can build out applications that augment and supplement and actually form part of the Office 365 platform. We can go and build out mobile apps as well. So what we're going to build out today is a mobile app, but it allows us to go and, as non-techie people, build out mobile apps very, very easily. We can also build out web apps as well. So we're not going to go through this today, but we can also build customer-facing portals out using this platform. So how does this platform work? What's it built on? In order for us to have this platform in place, the bit that underpins all of this is the Microsoft Azure framework. Now, Azure provides a highly scalable, secure environment to build all of this stuff out on. What the Power Platform does, what Microsoft has done very well, is abstract away all of that complexity from the Azure platform, place some really easy to use tools in the hands of their users. So whereby when this stuff first started coming out and we started playing directly with Azure services, yes, you need to be a bit of a techie, bit of a developer. That's all been abstracted away now and we can build stuff out quite easily. So let's have a little bit of a look through these Power Platform elements in a little bit more depth. So Power Apps itself, as I said, Power Apps is your front-end builder. It is a low to no code. I'm not going to lie, there is functions in there. So the way I tend to think of it is, if you can use PowerPoint and Excel, you can build out what we call Canvas Power Apps. Very easy to use, and that's what we're going to build out today, a Canvas Power App. We then also have model-driven apps, and model-driven apps are a bit more structured. Again, relatively easy to build, but we have a lot more structure, and we tend to start thinking about our database first before we build those apps out. So the beauty of Power Apps is it can connect to any data. We've got over 300 different connectors now in the Power Apps library, and I'll show you a couple of them in a second. But we can pretty much connect to any data around the different systems. Because it's built on the Azure framework as well, we get all of the security and governance that comes with that. It's natively integrated. Everything we talk about here is natively integrated into Office 365, Dynamics 365, Teams, Power BI. The platform just works together. It's all intrinsically linked. I mentioned earlier we've got Power Apps portals as well. So if we want to make a customer-facing portal that's authenticated that our customers can get into, maybe see some of our back-end data, interact with that data, we can service this via a Power Apps portal. We've then got the AI builder, which I mentioned earlier, and we're going to have a little bit of a look at that again later as well. That allows us to bring in our insight and start to run these predictive models over our data. Some of the new stuff which is coming out, which Microsoft made an announcement a few weeks ago, is mixed reality. Now, this is going to be brilliant and a real game changer in Power Apps because it's going to let us start to build in really quite complex functionality into our Power Apps. So we can start to, say, take pictures of a roof or something and start to put measurements on there and mark it up. or we can go and take our 3D models and place them in the real world, so we can see our products maybe in a customer's environment before we make the sale to them. So moving on from this, we then got Power Automate. Power Automate is the back-end logic. It's basically a workflow engine where you can have multiple steps and conditions and approval requests in that workflow engine. If we think back to our business processes of a few years ago, we'd have a CRM system which would have a workflow engine. We would have an ERP system which would have a workflow engine, and we'd have a SharePoint system which weirdly would have a workflow engine in there. Brilliant. None of those workflow engines talk to each other, but our business process spanned each of those different systems. So why do we have the limitations of those systems? Why do we have those barriers? So what Power Automate does is sit across all of those different systems and let us build workflows that actually bridge all of those systems together. It can also connect to on-premises data, so we're not working purely in a cloud environment, but it's also secure. Because we've got the power of Azure behind us, we can build security into there, and we can stop data leaving our environments and put policies in place as well. I just want to show a snippet of some of the connectors we have in this platform. So here's just a sample. There's over 300 different connectors in there, but we're looking at things like Salesforce, like Marketo, like MailChimp, like Google. These aren't just Microsoft products anymore. There is a true world of possibilities here that we can start to connect to. Okay, so Power BI. As I mentioned earlier, Power BI is the way we visualize our data. We've got real-time dashboards in there. So what I mean by real-time dashboards is we can take streaming data and stream that into our Power BI dashboard. We can see the data changing in real time before our eyes. We can also do things like natural language queries, so we can type in, I would like to see sales data, and it will go away and use the information it has to hand to start bringing me back visualizations of that data. We can build custom visualizations in there if we want to, but more importantly, it integrates with the rest of the Microsoft stack. If you want to put these dashboards into a SharePoint page, into a Teams channel, you can do all of that. And again, because it's Power Platform, because we work in this mobile cloud-first world, there are apps for Power BI, and similarly, all of these things we've talked about here. Now, Power Virtual Agents, as I said earlier, this is the new bit of Power Platform, and it is really quite good. So previously when we'd have chatbots, and I guess we're all used to using chatbots now, it's becoming more pervasive, especially given the current situation when you go onto websites, you'll get directed to live chat. Previously, you need a team of developers to work with your subject matter experts who spend months developing out this chatbot. What we can do now is we empower the subject matter experts to build and maintain these chatbots themselves. If they can essentially build a flow chart and drag lines between different boxes on a screen, they can build a chatbot. It's all no code and very graphical user interface. We can also empower these virtual agents, though, to actually take action based on how the conversation goes. So we can use Power Automate and build that in to our Power Virtual Agent routines. So we can go and interact and maybe retrieve data from our back-end legacy systems and display that back to the customer, or go and take action and update maybe the customer's order in a line of business system, all via a chat. This is, we can start to reduce costs, so we're freeing up our human agents to go and deal with more complex issues, whilst our chatbots handle very simple inquiries like what time does the store open. It also is multi-channel, so it abstracts away a lot of the complexities in building out these things and lets you talk, yes, over websites, but also over Facebook, over WhatsApp, over Teams. It brings all of these different channels together into one nice interface. And because it's on the platform, we have also got tight integration with the wider Dynamics suite of products as well. So if you're looking at customer service or omni-channel customer service in Dynamics, it's integrating tightly with that and bringing all of your customers together into one place. Really is quite cool stuff. So that was a very quick overview of what the Power Platform is, but I think it's probably easier if I show you what the Power Platform is. So what I want to do is just walk through a bit of an example and build an app in real time with you here this morning. The last time I did this, I did it in the context of a field service scenario, and I had electricity meters and it was doing object recognition. all of my props that I usually use are back in the office, and I'm currently sat in my back bedroom, so I had to find a different scenario. So what we're going with today is a fruit shop. So what we're going to do as a sales assistant in a fruit shop, I'm going to build an application that allows me to take a picture of some fruit on a shelf. The app is then going to use AI Builder to understand and interpret what type of fruit that is on the shelf. We're then going to go and query a back-end system, in this case SharePoint, to go and get some information, so some details and some stocking information about that particular piece of fruit. And then we're going to allow the sales assistant in the front end to push a button, which will send a message over Flow and Teams to the back office staff to order more fruit if needed. Okay, so it's a bit of a contrived example, but bear with me. So if I just drop out of PowerPoint here, and we'll go into the Power Apps for Builder. So hopefully some of you have played with and seen the Power Apps Builder before. If not, we're going to have a very quick whistle tour through it now. So I've got, I reckon, 25 minutes to build this Power App. So let's see how far I can get. So the first thing I'm going to do is build out my AI model. So this is using AI Builder. Now, Microsoft make it really easy to build out these AI models. And there's different types of models we can start with here. So what we've got is a few different types here. So we can do things like form processing. So that's essentially text recognition. If you've got a form, maybe it's an expenses form or some paper invoices that come in, you can start to do optical character recognition on those forms and get that data landed directly into Power Apps for you to do something with. We've also got things like predictions, so taking some data and predicting based on that data, what do we think is going to happen with this data? And we've also got object detection. And this is what we're going to look at this morning, the object detection. Now, in true Blue Peter style, here's one I built earlier. So I'm going to show you how to put these things together, but because we're essentially training a model, it does take a little while to do that. So I have pre-trained a model, but I'll show you the process of going through that. So you can see here, here's my fruit classifier model. And at the minute, it's got 85% or 85, a score of 85 for how good the model is at identifying the fruit. So that's pretty good. As I've built this up over the last few days, the model score has gone from about 10 up to 85. As I said earlier, the more data you give this model, the better the model becomes. So what I'm going to do is just click on Edit Draft there, and I'll just walk you through the process of editing and building up this model. Assuming my internet connection holds out. Virgin went a bit funny last night, but it seems to be back today. Okay, so I need to select a domain. So we've got different domains here: common object identification, objects on a retail shelf, or brand logos. I'm going to go with common objects because I'm going to train it to identify my apples and oranges. So we click Next, and I need to give some labels here. I need to define the objects that we're going to be identifying. So here are the objects that I'm going to be identifying: apples, bananas, and oranges. And obviously I can add more labels into there if I want. So I now need to give it some data. I need to give it some samples of what these things look like. So I've already uploaded some images to here. I can click on add new images and add more images. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to skip forward because I've already got some images in this model. And you can see here, here's all of the images in this model. All the ones that are purple and have a tick on them are ones that I've already gone in and tagged and classified. Okay, so this can be, it's not a complicated process, but it's quite a time-consuming process because you've got to go through and tag these images. So there's the one here I haven't classified yet. All I do to tag it is I drag out the box and I select what this is. It's an apple. Marvelous. Done. Move on to the next image. Okay, so when I've gone through that, I click on Done Tagging. I click Next, and then I click Train. Now I'm not going to click Train here because that does take a few minutes to go away and actually teach the model what these things look like. So assume, for argument's sake, I'd click Train, I'd gone away, made a coffee, come back 5 minutes later, and I'm ready to get on building my app now. So let's just come out of this and let's go and build a new Power App. So I'm going to build a new app here, and you can see I've got different types of app. I've got Canvas, Model Driven, and Portal. three different types of Power App I can build. I'm going to build a Canvas app for the purposes of today. So what do I want to start with? To make it very easy to start with data. So if you've got a SQL Server with database tables in there, or you've got a SharePoint list, you can actually start with that data and it will use that data and build out a template for the app for you. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to start with a blank app and I'm going to choose a phone layout. Okay, great. So here's my canvas. Let me zoom in a bit just so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so here's my canvas. First thing I want to do is I want to add my object detection into here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Insert, I'm going to choose AI Builder, and I'm going to add in my object detector component. The little blade on the side there is coming up with all of my different models. So there's my food classifier model that we've just built. So we're going to click that. Great, it's added that. Let's make that bigger. Done. Effectively, I've just added AI recognition into my Power App. That was quite easy. What I'm going to do here is just rename my component. I'm going to call this, name your components separately, sensibly rather, and then you can find them later on when you're trying to do stuff with the formulas later on. Right, so that's great. I've gone away and I've managed to add a detection block into there, and I'll show you what that does in a second. Before I do that though, what I want to do is I want to add a list that's going to bring back, so when that image recognition runs, it's going to say, right, what can it see in the image? It's going to return the data set of things it can see in the image. So I want to show that on the screen somewhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a gallery control. So a gallery control, just think of it as a list of data, if you like. So I'm going to put a blank gallery control on here. And right, what will we do? So I'm going to add a label input. No, I'm going to add the label here. And I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to call that name. And then I'm going to add another label. And I'm going to call that quantity in picture. Okay, great. So that's going to be the headings for my table. There is a table component in here. I like to build these things up myself. It's up to you. We've got a little bit more flexibility with what we can do with the gallery control versus the table control. Different conversation we could have at another time in debate, which is best for this. So now what I'm going to do is start to add some content into my gallery control. So I'm going to add a label into here. And we can see already that's starting to build up. So we can see we've got another label being put there. This is a list of data. The way Power Apps works is it's very interactive. As you're starting to manipulate and edit the data, it's putting things on the screen for you in real time. So let me just put that there, and that's going to be our name, and I'm going to add another label into here, which is going to be quantity in the picture. Okay. So I now need to add the output from this component into my gallery component. So if I select my gallery, first thing I'm going to do is rename my gallery and give it a sensible name. So we'll call this, oops, try that again. And I'm going to set a data source. So I'm going to set the items. So the items are going to come from my detection component. So I'm going to go fruit detector. You see it's starting to help me out here. Dot vision objects. Great. So you can see what's happened here. Apps has already gone away for me. It's understood that's a fruit detector. It understands what labels we have in there, and it's gone away, and it's actually started to see the different labels that we have behind this model. And then it's pre-populated some of these labels and fields for me. It's trying to help me out here, which is nice. It hasn't quite got it right there though. So it has managed to figure out that I want the name here, but it's going to put a unique ID in here for me. Now, that doesn't help me. I don't want the unique ID in there. What I actually want is the quantity displayed in the picture. So when I click on that label, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change that. Instead of being this item.id, I'm going to change that to be this item.count. That's going to show me the number of images, the number of pieces of fruit that we have in that particular image. I'm just going to make these rows a little bit shorter just so I can shrink that control. All right, great. So before we go any further, let's just save this app. So before I save it, let's give it a name. So let's call this webinar fruit. We can change images here if we want to. So let's just make that a star. Let's make it green so it looks slightly more fruity. Happy days. And then we can click save. So we're just going to save this. Okay, great. So if I just go back to my app now, let's test to see if this works. So the great thing about Power Apps is as I'm building this app out, it's updating on the screen in front of me. If I click the little play button up here, there's my app. That's my app running now in my browser. So if I hit detect, see we've got some different images here. Now, I'm going to show you this working on a phone in a second, but for now, we've just got some pre-canned images here that I'm going to use. So let's just open that one and let's see what happens. So immediately that's gone away. It's run that picture through the AI builder model and it's identified I've got 3 apples in that picture, 2 oranges and 2 bananas. And the table in the gallery there has updated to show different pieces of fruit and the quantity in the picture. That's great. Okay. But what happens if maybe I don't have all those items in the picture? What happens if maybe I only have a couple of items in the picture? Well, let's have a look. There we go. Okay, so that's identified. I've got 1 orange, 1 apple, but no bananas. Okay, great. So I don't really want to see bananas listed in that table if I don't have any. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to filter these items down. Notice I'm writing functions. I'm not writing code. These are nothing smarter than Excel type functions. So I'm just going to filter this. Filter where the count is greater than 0. You'll see again in real time it's updated that component. So we're only seeing the ones that are actually in the picture. Great. Happy days. Done. So that's our vision detection built in. And that took all of, 10 minutes max? So let's see what else we can do in the 15 minutes I've got to finish this. So what I want to do now is I want to actually add in some details about these different pieces of fruit. We're going to pull this in from a SharePoint list. So here is my SharePoint list. It's not the most complex of things, and you probably wouldn't store stock quantity levels in SharePoint, but hey ho, that's where it is. So we're going to connect up to our SharePoint list, and based on what I select in that gallery, pull that in and display that in the app. So I want to do a couple of things first. Let's add some labels in here first. So the first one I want to do is I'm just going to add a heading of details there. And I'm going to add another label for quantity in stock. And let's add another label in there that's going to hold the actual value that we have in stock. Now, and we'll add another label in there just for details. Okay, so that's just going to be a text box. Great. So let's start putting some stuff together in here. So the first thing I need to do is connect up to my data source. So I need to actually go away and connect to that SharePoint list. So I need a data source. So here's some of my different entities. Here's some connectors. I can change that to all connectors, and you'll see there is a lot of different data connectors that I can use to start pulling data into this app. I'm just going to use the SharePoint connector for now. SharePoint connector, add a new connection in there. And that's going to go away, talk to SharePoint, authenticate me in there, and I'm going to go into my demo site. I'm going to choose the list I want to connect to. So I want to connect to my fruit details list. I'm going to hit connect. Great. So I've now got fruit details in there. So the first thing I want to do is set the value of my quantity in stock. So what I want to happen here is when I select apple or orange or banana from this gallery, I want that to update the values in this particular field. So I'm going to change this text and I'm going to drop a formula into this text. Now, just so I'm not typing all this out and tempting the demo gods to do this wrong, I'm just going to paste that formula into the formula bar at the top there. So what that's doing is it's pulling in the fruit details data source, it's filtering that information where of that particular list item equals the selected item in my gallery. Filtering that down, and then we're selecting the quantity in stock. So immediately you can see there, it's updated the quantity in stock to be 15. Okay, then I'm going to put a similar formula into here, but rather than using the quantity in stock this time, I'm going to use the description field. And there we go. Now, just noticed, I can't see all the text in there. So let's just change the properties of this text field, and we'll make that not hidden. We'll make that scroll, and that'll put a scroll bar on there. Let's just play that up again, see what we've got. So apple there. Got apple. If I click orange, great, we've got 10 oranges in stock. Happy days, and you can see that's updating. Super. That's not very clear though. It's not very clear as to what's happening there when I'm clicking those rows. So actually, I want to just maybe change those things and change how they're presented when we click on one of those rows. So what we'll do is we'll change the font weight. So if I click back onto this label, this text box here, and if I can find font weight, which is going to be in here somewhere, if I scroll down, down, there we go. We've got font weight is currently normal. Again, I'm going to use a formula. I'm going to use a function here to do this. And again, just for the save me mistyping with my fat fingers, I'm going to change that font weight to be, oops. Essentially, we're saying, depending on what item is selected, if this is the selected item, change the font to be bold. If not, just leave it normal. I'm going to do the same for that one. Now, if I just hit play again there, we can see as I'm clicking through those things, making them bold and no. And just so we have no doubt over what is being selected, I'm just going to change the formula, the function behind this text field as well. So rather than just saying details, I'm going to change that to say the selected gallery item plus the word details on there. So now, if I play that, as I click through, you can see we're changing apple details, orange details. Great. Okay, that was easy. So we've just got our fruit detection there, and we've got and pulled in some information from our SharePoint list. Again, I'm just going to save this Power App before I go any further. Always be saving. And I'm going to publish this out this time. I'm going to publish this version, and that's going to distribute that out so it's available on my mobile app as well. Now, the final step, so I've got 7 minutes left here. So the final step I want to do here is add in a button so that we can go and order more apples or oranges if we need to. Let's click the button component at the top there. Let's just stick that at the bottom and let's click order more. And what I want to do is connect this up to a flow. So if I click on my button and click on action and click Power Automate, again, true Blue Peter style, here's one I made earlier called order fruit. That flow looks a little bit like this. So let's go and have a look and see what we've got there. So flows have triggers and actions. Trigger for this flow, I am calling these things flows. These Power Automates, flow is an easier word for me to see. So for these flows, we have a Power App. That's the trigger for this. So it's going to be invoked by the Power App. First step is we're going to go away, and based on the item that we pass into this flow, we're going to go away and retrieve that information from the SharePoint list. Then all we're going to do is post a message to our Teams channel saying we're running low on whatever fruit is, show us how many we've got in stock, and actually provide a link back to that item. I can edit things in here. So just as an example, if I want to put the word in there, I can do that. I can click save. If I want to add in more steps into here, so maybe I don't have this information in SharePoint, maybe I have it somewhere more sensible, like my ERP system, I can add a new action into there, and I can search for, maybe it's Business Central. Assuming I can type, there we go, there's Business Central. So here's all the actions we have. We can go and get a record from Business Central, or we can update or create records in Business Central directly. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave that as is for now. 5 minutes. Let's just click into here. Back on my button, I'm going to click Order Fruit. So that's going to add that in. And that's going to give me, when it's had to think about it, it's going to give me a new formula at the top here. All I want to do here is I want to pass in to my flow. Remember, I'm passing through something to my flow there, and that's the selected item. So again, I've got this function here, which I'm just going to copy from my other screen here and paste it there just to save my fat fingers typing. And there we go. Oops, click off it. See that there. So that is going to pass through the selected item from my gallery up to my flow. Again, let's just save this. We'll publish it. And let's just give that a test. So if I go back to my preview window, back to that image there. So we're now checking what we've got there. So great, we can see we've got an apple, an orange, a banana. We can see we can scroll down in my gallery there, and I can select the different items, and that's all updating. Now, if I bring my Teams channel onto the screen as well, and try and get them so you can see, if I click Order More, what we should see, wrong button, is I go back to Teams there. We've got a new post there, 10:42, which is the time there. We're running on apples. There's the change I made. Hello. So we're posting through to Teams there. Great, all very well. But I'm fairly sure I said these were mobile applications and we can use them anywhere. So let's have a look and see if we can get this to work on the phone. So if I just drag my phone on the screen there for a sec, hopefully you can all see that. So this is my phone. If we click on Power Apps, we'll open up Power Apps there. And if I just refresh my apps, hopefully, there we go, we'll see our new Webinar Fruit app there. So we'll just open that up. Great. And there's my Power App there in all its glory. So let's detect an image. So we're on my mobile phone here, so let's take a photo. So my keyboard. Let's see my apple and my orange, which I nicked out of the fruit bowl earlier this morning. Take a photo of that. Great, happy days. Click Use Photo. I'm going to go run it through the AI model. And we can see there we've got one apple and one orange in the picture there. We can see apple details, quantity in stock 15. Change that to orange, we can see the orange details there. And if I click on Order More, that goes away, fires the flow, and where's my Teams window gone? There it is. If we bring Teams back on there, you'll see that flow has run again, 10:43, and posted into that Teams channel for us. So that was a very quick 25 minutes overview of building out our app. I hope that shows you how easy and how straightforward it is to build these things out quite quickly. Now, obviously, you'd probably want to put a bit more thought, a bit more elegance behind that app. It was a bit rough and ready. You can theme these things, change the colors, brand it. You can start to add multiple pages into there. You can start to think about the data sources you're connecting to and blend all this stuff through. But really, the possibilities here are endless with Power Apps. It gives us as end users or power users the ability to start making and building these applications that really truly do run anywhere, on a mobile, on a tablet device, in a browser. Possibilities are endless with this platform. So thank you for watching. I hope this has been informative. If you do want to have a chat more about Power Apps, we've got a free Power Apps consultation. So either myself or one of my team can chat you through in a bit more detail some of the scenarios that you might have in your business, and we can try and tailor the conversation to be a bit more unique to yourselves and help you start the wheels turning for thoughts on what you could do with Power Apps. If you reach out via your account manager or through our website, the links are on the screen there. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. I hope this has been useful. If you do have any questions, please get in touch with us. Okay. We did have a couple of questions here come through as I was talking, just very quickly. The WebEx, do we receive a copy? Yes, we'll be posting the recording of the WebEx probably later on today on YouTube, so you can have a look, view the content as you wish. If there are any questions to think about after the fact, again, just drop us a line through the contact forms or get in touch with your account manager and they'll be happy to help.